Hi, Milanistas all around the world. How's everyone doing today? Great to have you all here, and yeah, thanks to you for viewing and liking our channel and what we're doing here. I have with me Shane. Say hi, Shane. It's been a while since
Yeah,
we've
very
been
sunburnt,
on.
Shane.
Yeah, I hope you
Very,
enjoy
very
the holiday.
sunburnt. Yeah, I join with the background image way too well. This is not good for my skin.
So you
Anyway,
got a lot more red.
it's a different. Yeah. More red than black, unfortunately. Yeah, man. So yeah, I think what I wanted to kind of try and go through was the Milan players that are still in the World Cup, right? So obviously we won't be talking about Kier. His World Cup wasn't great, to be honest. Ballatore, I mean, yeah, he's barely showed up. Was barely used. If actually was he
Not at
used at
all, I
all?
think.
Wasn't he? Do you know?
No, he
He
was
wasn't used
injured
at all.
for the
Yeah,
first game, and he rode that injury. And let's be honest, even if he wasn't injured, I doubt he would start because he didn't start for AFCON either.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Shame, but yeah. So that means we're just going to be going through. Well, you'll see him, but Teo, Giroud, Leao, etc. So yeah, man. Do you want
Okay,
to
let's
start?
bring it up. Okay, let's speak about Liao, who we've seen yesterday with that amazing goal. If I can just start, is that he's not been the main man from the get go. So he's come off the bench and being electric off the bench, just like how he is in Milan. However, he doesn't do it for the full 90, which is a shame because we everyone sees the talent. I'm not so sure if it's because Liao, and it's been mentioned by their coach, is that Liao does have a certain sense of freedom in Milan. He is our main guy, so that's why he can pretty much do what he wants. In a team like Portugal, where they have a stack of talent, that might offset things a bit. Because the way that I saw the game yesterday was that João Felix, he's been distributing the ball quite well. They're not that quick off the break. They tend to be a little bit more tactical. It did look at times a bit like a training match because let's face it, the Swiss. I didn't have them in mind to go this far in the tournament. I thought they would have dropped off at the group stage, but they are where they are, and all credit to them. They managed to get to the round of 16, but just Portugal, the amount of players in terms of talent that Portugal has, no one can deny that they should firmly be at least in the quarterfinals, if not the semis. Maybe some would even have it favorites of the tournament. How about you, Shane? Were you surprised by anything that you've seen of Liao so far?
Definitely not surprised because I think every Milan fan knows just how good he is, right? Even that goal against Switzerland, that's just, I mean, that is his goal at this point. I mean, runs down, beats a man, gets a tiny bit of space inside in the box, and then just, beautiful finish, scores, amazing. This is what he does now. It's not a surprise. Shouldn't be surprised any Milan fan. But yeah, I hope it goes well with his contract negotiation. Don't want to bring it up. I know we brought it up in a previous podcast, but fingers crossed we get some good news on that in the coming months. Well, coming weeks, and it'll just be really positive for the club. But yeah, his World Cup. I mean, it's great because it shows you how not very many people actually watch Serie A. Because when you see people going crazy for Leao and they're going, oh my God, who's this guy play for? Oh wow, okay, this player is great. Um, yeah, it's great. I'm really happy for him. I mean, because he is doing it on a huge stage. And I think he's definitely showing right now that he's not he's not someone who battles chances. Um, so yeah, man. I mean, overall, really positive World Cup from. I hope it continues. And I tell you, Portugal, I'd put them down as a dark horse to win this thing.
Definitely it's possible. And if everyone knows Cristiano CR7, he's definitely going to want to win this because I don't know where if it was even said that this might be his last World Cup. Well, no one's going to blame him if he were to retire after the World Cup, after winning it, especially if he wins it.
Mm,
So everyone's geared up
mm,
to win that. But what do you think, Shane?
mm.
Him being or Portugal going much further in this tournament, does that take Liao further away from renewal, or do you think it's more of okay, good for him, good for us because we can sell him at a higher price even though he doesn't start. That part about him not starting that bugs me a little because does that in a way limit his value? I think yes, slightly, but we've seen his quality
I
and
think
his
in a
I,
weird way, in a weird way, I think it might actually increase his value a bit. Here's why: because I think what Leao does do as well sometimes in games is he does disappear, right? And I think we're seeing with his Portugal performances when he's on the pitch most of the game. Uh, well, most of the minutes that he's on the pitch, he's very effective because he comes on and he's a nightmare for a tired defender to play against. Um, and I think it's kind of those small bits where people are just getting highly excited by this kid that's coming on for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. I think it's gonna skyrocket his price. Of course, the problem is I think his release clause is what still 150.
yeah, should be.
Yeah, so I mean, once that's triggered, it's done. But I could see it getting triggered. Just I think it's actually in a way heightening his price more so because people are seeing that right, this guy can come on in a World Cup, play for 20 minutes, and he's a beast. Whereas if he was playing a full 90, they might say, oh, he kind of disappears for a large amount of the game, and then he only shows up with these occasional amounts of brilliance, right?
But this World Cup is different, and with such tournaments, it's not the same as playing in the league because playing in the league, there are teams, especially the lower ranked teams, they want to play for a draw, so they wouldn't mind parking 10 players or 11 players in the box. And this is where Liao, I don't think he's as effective. Whereas in the World Cup, they want to win it. Yeah, even if they're down 2-0, 3-0, they at least want to get the goal back. So that actually opens up the game. And where there's space, Liao thrives, especially when he only has to play for 20 minutes. He's putting it all in. He's giving his 100% for those 20 minutes. But in Serie A, 90 minutes, him starting, some teams, low block, two or three defenders on him. We've seen that before. It just frustrates him.
Chelsea.
Yes. So those teams, they score the
Yeah,
goal
man.
and they'll sit back for the World Cup. I don't think we've seen any of that, at least not to my eyes.
Mm,
Okay, so let's see who
mm.
we have next on the French team, and it looks like our star striker, albeit not our young striker, but still in his prime. No doubt in his prime, been tearing it
It's
up.
definitely in his prime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we
He's
put him back in his
at
prime.
it.
That's the thing.
Man, it's a funny thing because the type of player he is, he doesn't have much speed. He's just, he tends to be in the right place at the right time. He tends to find space. And he executes really well. I mean, this guy could be in under his left hand. He could go till he's like 40. You know,
We sure hope so. At this
like,
level, I sure hope so. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah. Look, it's again, I did. It's a testament to the Milan players still at the World Cup that people are singing their praises because it just shows you how great our scouting department is. It really does. I mean, I'm even kind of quietly excited by Dest, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I think they're doing great things. I mean, the players that they're getting, it's kind of like they're becoming surprises to everyone on the world stage. But any Milan fan that they'll tell you it's like, no, these are quality players. Like these are great, great players. Except for look, Dest, he's still maturing. But I mean, it's no surprise to anyone just how well he's doing. I wouldn't like to see France win it though, not again, because I think it kind of cheapens the World Cup a bit if it's back to back.
If they did
What
pull
do you
that off,
think?
I think it will be since the 60s, I think, when Brazil did it. So again, so yeah,
Was it the
someone can correct me
60s
on
or
that.
was it the 30s? Or was it, didn't Uruguay do it? But then when Uruguay did it back in the 30s, if they did it in the 30s, I think it was like way more political then. So it was kind of, you know, they did the Juventus essentially and bought it.
Oh, okay.
I think
I
that was
didn't
what the story was. Yeah,
I didn't check it all the way back then,
Could-
but I thought Brazil was the last team. But
yeah,
no doubt, and
possibly.
I said it
Mm.
before for Giroud. If you watch all the other teams play, a lot of these teams they lack a dominant striker, meaning that there is always that one guy in the box that you can depend on to head the goal or create problems. Giroud, despite his age, he's that player for France. So they've got quality. They've got Kylian Mbappe. There they got Osman Dembele. But those two players, when they're cutting in from the wings, they're still gonna need that one guy in the box to connect with, and that's either to draw the defenders away, or to head in the ball. So this he provides those
And
options.
he really finds space, man. He really does. I mean, you can see it. He does things that just confuse defenders. You know,
Yeah, with
his
the
I think
movement.
his with the movement, the spins, he's kind of like the player that Messi wants to be. You
But
know, but
I agree. But don't you think he's extra effective? And this is, you could say, a
Mm.
mini conspiracy theory that I have. Because of his age, do you think the defenders are underestimating him a little bit? Because had that been maybe
I don't think so.
Highland, they would have probably
No,
put two or three more guys on him. But Giroud, maybe they're thinking that they have to worry more about Mbappe than Giroud. This could be a reason as well. I mean, I'm just throwing out wild ideas here.
no. I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I don't think so. I think, and this is why Milan are going to be so dangerous. And mark my words, we will win the league this year. Napoli ahead, how they are, or not. If Milan get a functioning right winger that sits in and let's say it just explodes from from day one, Giroud could be top scorer very easily.
Well, he's already,
You know,
you could say, achieved his mission. He's top scorer of all time for
mm.
France. Can this top scorer
This is
be
it, man.
also a
You
two-time
know,
World Cup champion? That would be a thing, but not just for Giroud and the person we speak about next. Bringing that home, that World Cup, the confidence, and you're right, that confidence should spill into the season because it's still all to play for.
I don't even think it's confident. I think why Giroud is so effective is if you look at the national team level. I mean, he's two great. He's two great players that are feeding him service on either side. In Milan, he has well, obviously Leao, right? At a right wing, look, yeah, we could talk all day about it. But I mean, yeah, geez, dude, if Milan fix this, you know, fix this right wing, if we get a player there that can provide him service, he's gonna be dangerous, and he's gonna be dangerous for 2 or 3 years.
That's a big if. And if you
You
want to
know,
get
because
an
he's a
Osman
smart player.
Dembele level, I don't think we got the cash for that sort of operation. But let's see. January is just around the corner. We might be pleasantly surprised.
True,
All
true.
right. Let's see who's next. Oh, we're going to speak about Theo. Amazing Theo. What have you seen, Shane? And what
Yeah,
has impressed you the most?
man. I've such a man crush on Teo. It's great. I love the guy. I love everything about this guy. No, he's great. I think he's similar to Giroud. I think even now he's still very underrated. Compared to what he's done for Milan. Again, like Teo's performances for France are not surprising any Milan fan. You know, this is just like no. Teo's a great player. He deserves a starting spot, right? And it just seems now where it's kind of fans are watching this and they're kind of surprised that it's like, oh, wow, how come this guy wasn't
Sorry,
starting
Shane,
for us?
your
But I mean,
connection's uh, weakening a little, so the sound is coming off a bit strange.
oh, sorry, is it flapping?
Yeah,
Oh,
just a
am I
little, but
flapping?
it's okay.
Ah,
Yeah, it's okay
okay,
now. I think it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
okay. No, but I think Teo, yeah. So Teo at this World Cup, it's like he hasn't been a surprise to a Milan fan. You know, it's just people watching the French team are kind of going, why were we not playing this guy? And any Milan fan can probably say that as well. It's like this player is world class. Now defending, he still needs to do a bit of work, but going forward, I easily top 2 or 3 in the world. You know, it's criminal that he wasn't starting for France. Um, and I think the benefit we have with Hernandez is that he actually wants to stay at the club. He's said multiple times there was no
Yeah,
problems with him
true.
signing a
It's signed.
contract. So he wants to stay at the club. That's the Maldini effect right there. So yeah, dude, I cannot speak highly enough about him. I mean, and if France do win it, right? I mean, world champion, and he'll have done. He's a huge part in getting there. So I tell you, if anyone says to me that Hernandez is not world class, I say, okay, you're obviously an Inter fan. Only people that wouldn't, that's really the only people that wouldn't agree. So, yeah, what do you think?
Well, for Theo and Giroud, we got to credit them because they weren't originally intended to start for the French team. So Theo's brother was slated to start, and let's face it, in the first game it should have been Benzema, but Benzema's down. Uh, Lucas Hernandez went down in I think the first 10 minutes. So these were opportunities, and it's glad to see that our players, when an opportunity arises, they really step up. So it's not a matter of them being eased into the game, making that odd mistake in the first few minutes, then only shining. No, they step onto that pitch, they really show what they've made of, and the performances straight out the gate. So for Theo, it's not a surprise to Milan fans. You're right. A lot of fans, especially in Europe, they don't look at us the same way because we haven't been in that continental stage for recent history other than last season. But now is the time to show that we got players who can win titles, we got players who can do well, not only in the Champions League but also in the World Cup. So any team comes knocking on our door, minimum it's 100 million. Yeah, I don't care who it is, even though if the player doesn't start, it's 100 million because we are AC Milan, and I don't want to see these deals whereby we take players from other teams and we develop them and we give them starts. That time is done. I don't want to hear about those.
I think so. I think that time is done now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's done.
So we got to focus on the future. It should be actually us, play with players like Yassin Adli going to other clubs in other leagues and saying that okay, he's from AC Milan, you got to start him. Yeah, even though he's not your player, he's on loan, you got to start him because that is the sort of club that we are now. But yeah, all praises for Theo, and let's see how far he goes. If he takes it all the way to the World Cup, add another zero. I don't know how much are people saying that he's worth now. 120, 150. Add another zero. Make it a
Yeah,
billion because he ain't leaving.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. But when you talk about players' prices, I mean, just gauge it against the Premier League, you know, because that's beyond ridiculous what very average players go for. So, I mean, yeah, not add a quarter to whatever his price is, you know. I
Sure,
mean, abolish your release clause completely. Do whatever you need to do. You know, like this guy needs to stay.
but
Uh,
there's one other point that I want to make is that Theo, he came from Real Madrid. Wasn't the starter, and he came in essentially, you could say he reinvented himself because he was loaned out quite a bit from Real Madrid as well. Giroud, arguably towards his end of his career. Uh, do you see and I want to call this the Maldini effect, is that identifying these players, bringing them over and giving them a new lease on life? I can't think of another club that's really done that because every other club, especially those with money, they wouldn't gamble on a move like that. They would go for
so,
a player, pay big,
but
top.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Real Madrid could, yes, but the likes of PSG or Man City, what historically like world class players have they had that they could actually say, oh, you've you're pretty much you were a world class player all of your career, and now you're coming back to manage the club, you know, at a board level. And that player, who was one of the best ever, pretty much, I still think Maldini was, in that position, he's actually calling you to say, I like your characteristics, and I
Mhm.
want you to play in my position, or I want you to play in this position. You know, you're going to trust his judgment. Now, good luck finding someone from Man City or for PSG, you know, because they weren't relevant 15 years ago, right? So, like, I mean, fair enough. Okay, PSG did have Ronaldinho. It's a bit harsh. And they had, I think they had George Weah as well, right? So PSG less so. they have good players. But Man City, I mean, who are you going to get? What's that guy? Joe Hart or whatever the hell his name is? Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So
former keeper.
yeah,
But it's about the approach because if you see some of the like the Amazon All or Nothing about the EPL, like Man City, especially Man City, the way they do things is very different. I don't think they have. This is just me in my opinion. I don't think they have a player like Pep, going all the way to Ibiza just to speak to a player like Theo and trying to convince him. It's probably with all their money done through
that's because
agents and trying to work out a deal.
well, it's because the club has no heritage.
Yeah, that's true.
The club there's nothing. Even okay, so before this, you know, before the oil money that's came into Man City, right? Explain to me what have Man City done?
Well, you could say they've
Nothing.
dominated their local league, and that's about it. End of
No,
story.
no, before.
Oh,
No,
before that,
before that even. Nothing.
I don't know
They've done literally nothing.
when Mancini was there. Were they already owned by the
Oh, they
Abu
were.
Dhabi group?
They
Yeah.
were.
Oh, they already were.
They
Okay.
were. They
Yeah,
were,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Then you're right. Then
So that
they got
that
nothing.
that was in yeah, that was in the years just after they basically tore up FFP rules. So yeah, so they had that was because they're after signing like Balotelli and all these uh, potentially good players then. So yeah, but anyway, Man City. Now I have to go and brush my teeth and wash my mouth out. Yeah, yeah.
Wash it with
So
oil.
yeah. Ah, okay.
Okay, who do we have
All
next?
right, man.
And maybe we're already on to our next segment. I'm sorry, do you want to speak about Death? I don't think I included him in our photo lineup.
Yeah, man. Now the thing is like uh, it's been an okay World Cup for Dest. I still don't see him anywhere. I still don't see him as a defender. I see him as an upgrade over Salamakers. But I still don't see him as a defender. So maybe they want to try chancing him there, and I think it could work out if he sits deep and he's going to carry the ball. He'll be a bit more defensive than Leao on the other wing. So if he sits deep and he can run past a couple of players, I mean, yeah, I think it could work out really well for him. Uh, but it's kind of been like the World Cup games I've seen with Destin. It's kind of been a mirror as to what he's done for Milan so far this season. He like moments of brilliance going forward, defensively not good at all. So yeah, I do think there's potential there. Now it's not my 20 million because I will never see 20 million. But it's not my 20 million. But hey, I think you could probably go a lot worse. I know there's obviously the argument about you have to work on the key problem areas first, you know, and signing Dest as a potential right winger isn't a good idea. And I admit that's very true. But I think you probably do worse than putting 20 million on Dest. I think there's something with this kid.
I agree with you partially there. So that's to me, okay, off the bat, it's not going to be 20 million because the way that we do things, whenever we agree, it's a bit of a low ball move, in my opinion. Whenever we agree to a loan with option, that option part always gets negotiated at the last minute. So credibility wise, I don't think we're doing that great. I know it's for the spirit of saving money. It probably makes sense financially, but to a club of our stature, I don't think that's a good look. But let it be. Let the guys worry about the dollars and cents. But for the case of Des, I don't think he is an upgrade that we need. So we having him, and if we do redeem him, is that we're only looking at increments. So something that's a little bit better than this guy, a little bit better in that game. That little bit is not enough, especially when we want to recover back those 8 point gap that we have between us and Napoli. So we're gonna have
Oh
to
yeah, I agree.
have
I
a
agree.
Real type
I
player,
agree.
and the problem is in January we won't be able to afford a Liao type player for the right wing. Nor will any team want to release a player, not even in the middle, but near the middle of the season, uh, even to a rival or to another big team for. that will create problems of their own. So I'm not
Mm.
seeing. I mean, yeah, desk could be bought. That might because to be honest, the option that we activated for Messias that shocked me because to me that didn't look like a project move because Messias is neither young nor is he electric on the same level. Yeah, I mean he does his job, no doubt about it. He's probably the type of player that doesn't complain about.
I think, yeah. So I think if you look at the Messias move, I think it makes sense if they can, let's say, if they can sell him for 15 million.
At his age, it's a bit of a stretch,
Because,
isn't
well, not really. Because I mean, if you think about it, he's got his Champions League goals.
it? Is it two? I mean, how many does he
So
have? One or two? Two, maybe. Yeah?
is it maybe? But he's got his
Atletico.
Champions League goals, and you know, I
You're
think it
right.
was,
Two
yeah. So it
goals.
was Atletico, and then
And
who's
the
it?
most
Who's
recent
it?
one against Salzburg.
Yeah. So no, I think I could see. My opinion of the Messias move was right. If we can get this guy polished up, I think we'll be able to punt him on for a bigger fee than we bought him for. So I think that's the reason behind that. So I mean, look, it wouldn't surprise me if in January, let's say they found someone for, you know, 15 million that was a young kid that's come out of nowhere. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they punted off Messias and then got this kid in.
Messias or
Let's
Salmakers? Come on.
assuming. Well, ideally both, but the problem is then is you have to replace the two of them, and I can't see Milan replacing the two of them all at once. That's kind of a oh, we get bought out by some oil rich dude from, let's say, Abu Dhabi or something, and he's got like a ton of money, and he's just going to go, I get two world class players for this position, um so no, I can't see him, getting really sold all at the same time. But I mean, I'd keep Messias over Salamakers, but yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of saying, well, God, like the thought of going into the rest of the league season with either Messias or Salamakers, it's just not great. It's not great for me, especially like when you look at it. There's not a huge jump in quality for this team to get another 20 goals a season.
Yeah.
Like if you had a right wing that was punting in like decent crosses into Giroud, and if you had a
Oh,
right wing
Ibra,
that
now that he's
actually
back.
provided more
Ibra's good in
goals,
the air as well. Yeah.
yeah, or Ibra as well, of course, right? So I mean, I still think that we're going to score quite a lot of goals going into the end of this year. So, but still, we'd score even more if we had maybe a right wing that was more of a threat. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even think Dest is the answer now, but I could definitely see right potential. I think 20 million is not bad.
Yeah, but to me, he just doesn't cut it for 20 or even anything close to 20, even 15 or a 10 because we got Florenzi back
I
now.
know, but you're dealing with Barcelona there. They don't deal in money anymore. You know,
Print that monopoly
It's-
money. If anyone's got that monopoly money lying
exactly. It's just monopoly money. Exactly. Like just sell more of your stadium or more of your TV rights. It's fine.
around,
Um,
I think you
anyway,
just offended all those Spotify subscribers because Spotify has a big stake in Barcelona now.
oops. Dump Barcelona, guys.
Okay, let's
Money
move
leave
on
Milan.
to let's check out our next segment. Has to do with Juve. Now with Juve, everyone has heard or read the news, so something big is happening in Juve. And when I say something big, meaning big for the rest of the league, but not for them, because it looks like somehow they've shot themselves in the foot and only realized it because people come asking. So for those who don't know, Juve's troubles actually has two parts to it. One has to do with the fact that they have inflated their transfers, something that most people know. The second part, which I did a bit of reading that they did, was that during the COVID lockdown, when there was not enough revenue, it seems that there's an allegation that Juve paid some of their players under the table, whereas when they declared to the public that they gave so that these players gave up 4 months of their salary or something like that. Now, Juve is different than a lot of other clubs, is that they're a listed company. So this is how the hammer is falling on them, because their accounts are public. You can apparently go and buy Juve shares. Don't know how much they're worth. I hope. I don't think
Mm.
they're worth anything right now, but the level of scrutiny in the public, of course, it's different. So it's a financial, or you could say a securities commission investigation. Not so much in terms of the football, but the fact that the FIGC of the league is involved maybe has something to do with financial fair play. This could be Juve's undoing. But let's just celebrate what the wins that we've gotten so far without playing any football. Andrea Agnelli's out, so is Nedved and the rest of the clowns. Hopefully, this causes a complete collapse of the team, and Chiesa, if you're looking for a home, it's red and black. Casa Milan. How about that,
Oh
Shane?
yeah, big
Can
time,
we,
big
can we
time,
dream? Can we dream?
big time, dude. I I have to give it to Juve because when they screw up, right? You because so when Milan screwed up like they did during the banter era, right? When we had all these useless players lining up for us, at least that was because we knew it was because Berlusconi was broke. But as bad as it got, right, it only got to us going down to let's say eighth or ninth place, right, which was bad.
Yeah.
But when Juve screw up, they can go down like they can get relegated twice. You know, it's like I mean, so and the fact that the board has resigned. So the only reason that that board is going to resign, right, is literally because if we stayed, right, that means we're in like we'll probably get the club in worse, we're in a worse situation than it's already in. So they're probably doing their best by the club, but I mean, yeah, it's look. I mean, look, I remember even during the banter era, right? There was times where, like, there was very late winners from Juve. Like I recall a 97 minute, goal by Dybala, right? There's all these little things happening. So, and if Juve have done it before, they're going to do it again. So, and the thing is once you have people looking at stuff like this, right, things just get far, far, far worse because they will find everything. You can't hide stuff like this. Do you know what I mean? So, it's not looking good. I don't know if I was a Juve fan, I'd be kind of wondering, oh, what's that jersey going to look like with two stars back on it?
Well, I hope they have no stars on it, because if that's what they're going to remove one star. Might as well remove the other. Just
Well,
dig
yeah.
up
The
away from
problem
the
is, well, yeah, but the problem is then is that of course if they take the 1 star off of Juve, right? I'm pretty sure it was Inter, maybe Napoli, right? But Inter more so, they'll get their 2 stars,
Yeah,
right?
and this
Depending
is
on what
the
year they
problem that I
focus
have
on.
with Inter. They're getting all these trophies
Yeah.
as absolute hand-me-downs. They didn't have to earn it. Most of it, they didn't have to. The blood, sweat, and tears that you need throughout the season to really get that trophy. It doesn't apply to them. They're like, okay, we just wait for someone else to be investigated, called up to action, and we'll take that trophy.
True, true. True, but the
So
thing is, at least with Inter, though, they did. It's not like that they were just some random team in the league that they picked. Let's just say they finished second. You know, so I mean, look, because
yeah, but
look, put it this way: if it was the other way around and Milan were about to get a second star, would you complain? I wouldn't. I'd be
okay,
like, "Yep,
being a Milan fan, we wouldn't.
throw it
Come
on,
on,
dude."
we
Exactly.
work for it way more than Inter. Let's be honest. Yeah, not only for this round, if they do give into the second star from Juve, but even in the 2000s, because we were dominant. Even in Europe, we were dominant. So it's not the case whereby we we were fourth, then everyone else screwed up, then we moved up to first place. No, we were always fighting for it,
Mm.
no doubt. But you're
Yeah, but
right.
remember there was some years. There were some years where
We scraped in, right?
Carletto had to get us in via the Intertoto Cup, right? Do you remember that? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
we aren't
Brutal
completely
days.
flawless, but come on. I wouldn't put us as, uh, you could say, not favorites in those years. Definitely, yeah. We had chances. We took
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, true. They won't go back that far though. They'll only go back like 3 or 4 years, and that's where I think Inter get the second star. You know.
I hope they cancel. They won't, yeah. But let's face it, guys. This has to do with finances. So with the case of Kashopli, it had to do with the actual football on the pitch. So you could argue
Mm.
that maybe nothing's going to happen footballing wise, and it might just be a fine. Like any public company gets fined,
The
or
board, the board leaving because of that though.
yeah, but that seems more of a corporate move, right? The board leaving. I
Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it does.
So maybe that's the
Mm.
thing about the shareholders and I don't know the loans financing, trying to rein that in. But you got to question the January window. If Juve wanted to get anyone, whose signature did they wait for? Is anyone approving it, or just like uh, Allegri randomly tell you just come? We'll sort the paperwork out later.
How much of these shares can I float? I need to get money from somewhere. Yeah.
Maybe the players need to
But
band together and like fund Juve's
yeah.
January mercato.
Well, I tell you what, it couldn't happen to a nicer team. So screw you guys. Seriously, Juve, screw you guys. Seriously. Couldn't I fucking delighted, excuse the language. So but anyway, let's see how bad it gets.
Yeah, let's
And
see.
then
Time will tell. But the way that
yeah.
it's going, I think the judgment will come quite fast. I mean, if they've had to resign now, that does mean that action is coming quite quickly.
True, but this is in Italy, right?
You do have a
So
point.
you'll probably be talking about this in like 5 years, you know? Oh man. Yeah. Anyway,
All right, so
so
that's been it for our topic for today. Yeah, anything else you'd like to add, Shane, or something that you want to bring up? There's our any other business.
well, I suppose just depending on how far back this Juve business goes, right? Keep in mind Murata over at Inter. He was at Juve in 2018.
Yeah,
So you never know. Might see that head roll as well. So, you know, Interistes, I guess, keep an eye out on that. But yeah, no, I think we covered quite a lot today. Obviously, everyone, we enjoy making the content, which we said we would do weekly, but then I decided to get really bad sunburn and get work to death. But besides that, yeah, we'll get these out to you. Really enjoy making them. It's great to see you, Hosni. Always a pleasure. Everyone, like, subscribe. Please share the love. If you know someone around the Nairobi, Kenya area that's into Milan, send them towards this channel because I want to have a chat with them, see if they want to join us. And yeah, there's going to be great content coming out. We're also on Twitter at Milanistas360. Yeah, we're on Insta as well, Hosni. And yeah,
yeah, getting to
anything
those
you wanna?
three-digit following figures. So we're on 70 plus.
Really,
Yeah. Appreciate the support to anyone who's
man,
watching us and listening to us. It's great, and like you said, Jane, well said. Please follow us on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Twitter. So yeah, I think we're in several platforms now. Really trying to spread the message. And
Paolo Maldini's interviewing next week.
oh, I
Trust
should hope
me.
so. By the way, I'm going to Dubai next week, so if I do happen to see him, maybe I'll put in a word about the channel. He should be there,
Here we
but
go.
he'll probably be seated in some VIP box that's like untouchable by the rest of us fans, ordinary
That's
fans.
it. Hosni going. Why won't you let me love you?
I'll have just a right wing shirt that says RW on it. Hopefully he gets the hint.
Yeah, he won't touch you. Then he's like, "What?
Or he'll probably get
Why?"
like Matias and Sam Makers to speak to me.
That's your punishment, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, awesome,
Okay.
awesome sauce.
Well, it's been great, and yeah, well, Milanistas, whoever's listening, thank you so much for spending the time. And again, catch up with you guys soon. I hope on to our next video and content, be it on whichever social platform. Forza Milan, as always.
Forza Milan.
Right.
Italia!